Okay guys, back again. In this video I'm going to be going over consistency, the importance of it, and I honestly think that this is the key to getting in shape and improving your performance with your health and fitness. Now, outside of obviously, technical training programs, nutritional setups, protocols, things like that, I truly believe that this is the key to getting in shape and staying in shape, because it's not about just getting in shape once, which obviously you need consistency to do, but it's about staying in shape year round. Like, that's what I'm about. So without consistency, you're never going to get to where you could be, and you're never going to be able to maintain it in terms of performance and physique. So what do we actually mean by consistency? It's thrown around a lot on social media. You see it on a lot of reels, a lot of YouTube shorts, TikToks, things like that, but with good reason. There's a reason why all these kind of entrepreneurs, high level athletes, people like Nick Bare are talking about this all the time. My kind of definition of consistency, this is something that I've just written myself, I've not Googled this, is I believe consistency is the ability to do something again and again, repeatedly, without the need for motivation or external validation. That's basically just doing it on all autopilot. Like, you're not seeking that kind of motivation. You don't need a reason to do it. Sorry, you're not looking for validation from others to do this practice. And obviously that could be fitness, it could be doing a task within your business or within your job that you hate doing. It's about doing things when other people essentially aren't watching. And I do believe that this is heavily correlated with discipline. Like, in order to be consistent, you do need to be disciplined. Another thing that I think not a lot of people talk about is doing things consistently even when things are not going your way. So I would kind of relate that more to business and things like that. You might be doing a task in your business that works, but maybe it's just not showing you that proof of concept right now, but you know that if you put in the work and you keep hammering, it will pay off. So that is my kind of personal definition of consistency. It's the ability to do something again and again on repeat without the need for motivation or external validation. This is a quote that I have actually seen Nick Bare talk about a lot on YouTube and Instagram. I don't know if it's actually his. I think it might have actually been his running coach that said this, but I just absolutely love it. It's focus on being consistently good, not occasionally great. And if we relate that to, I guess, a kind of fitness standpoint, it's not about, let's say, going into the gym once or twice a week and PRing every single time. It's about showing up every single day and just putting in the reps and working to, let's say, an RP 8 or 9. It's just about consistently showing up, putting in the reps and leaving, and not trying to go in and just be perfect every single time. So I absolutely love that quote. But again, as I mentioned in other videos, I think it's important to kind of like show a bit of, social proof before I kind of start preaching about consistency and things like that. Like, again, I'm talking about Nick Bare loads. I'm a massive fan of his work, his podcasts, his YouTube videos. And he talks about kind of honing in and leaning into what your superpower is. Like, so something that you're really good at. And I believe that consistency is my personal superpower. Like, when I have a goal to focus on, I'm very good at just being very, very consistent with what I need to do in order to reach that goal. So if I look at my fitness, I've trained for over 12 years now, and I think the longest amount of time I have ever taken off with my training is 11 days, and that was when I had my appendix out. It wasn't out of choice. I hold a naturally good amount of muscle mass now because I've put in the work to build it, but when I started training 12 years ago, I was naturally skinny. I wasn't just one of those guys that was just built to lift and put on muscle really easily. I'm also not a very good runner. Like, I'm running some good times now for my size, but I'm not a naturally good runner. I don't have a naturally good gait. I'm not built for it. I'm 5'10", but I've worked hard to get to a place where I would say I'm a good runner for my kind of build and stature right now. In terms of business as well, like, my business has grown pretty much linearly since I started it. There's not been this like massive blow up period where there's been huge spikes in revenue or client numbers. It's just been very, very consistent linear growth, chipping away, doing the daily tasks. So I've kind of shown myself that I am very consistent, and I know that if there's something I want to do, I just need to be consistent and I'll get there. And there's been no luck in either of those things. So I'm definitely someone who can talk to you about consistency and give some advice. But if we bring it back to, physique, that's a massive kind of thing that we help our clients with, is improving the way they look. You will never get into amazing shape if you're not consistent. Like, it just doesn't happen. It doesn't work. You're not just going to go to the gym once or twice a week and wake up with abs and massive biceps. I've written here, you will look average at best. Like we all know a few people who, they maintain a decent look year round, but they're never really kind of like holding like a really, really good physique. So unless you're consistent, you're going to look average year round at best. And you'll also go through phases of looking better and worse. And that's something I've noticed about a lot of people, kind of like on the edges of my network and stuff, is like they will let their physique changes as the year changes, like it's a seasonal thing. And that's not because they're going through deliberate gaining phases or deliberate fat loss phases. It's like, in summer, you'll see people get in shape and then go out of shape very quickly. And that kind of grey period towards the end of summer and the start of the new year, these people will go out of shape as well because they let the social events and holidays and things like that dictate the way they look. This is where they drop off with their consistency. Like it's fairly easy to be somewhat consistent for a few weeks or a few months, but when these kind of social events come up and things like that, these are the things that separate the people who are consistent with their training and their nutrition year round, and you can see it in their physique. And these are the people that you always hear saying, I'm going to get back on it. I'm going to get back on it. Like, I hate that phrase. So if you do want to get in shape and stay in shape year round, which I believe should be the goal, you have to be consistent, and you're not going to be able to do it without that consistency. If we look at it from a performance standpoint, which is again a massive part of what we do at Athletic Aesthetic Coaching, is help people improve their physique and performance. Similarly to physique, you're never going to perform at the level that you could if you're not consistent. Now, performance, that could be, building strength in the gym. It could be building muscle. It could be building endurance or improving your endurance. Any of these things, it takes a lot of time to do. Like building strength takes time. Building muscle takes a hell of a lot of time. Endurance comes a little bit quicker, but still it does take time, especially to reach, impressive milestones of that. And if you're being inconsistent, let's say you stick to your program for 3 or 4 weeks and then drop off for 2 to 3, you're gonna make some gains, whether that's improving your strength, which is going to help you improve muscle, or it's improving your endurance. And then you take a bit of time off, you're going to lose that. So you're going to constantly be spinning your wheels. So yeah, your performance will stall or even regress if you're not consistent. And without this significant improvement, you'll probably find yourself bouncing between different disciplines and never really getting good at any of them. And what I mean by that is, like, again, everyone knows that person that, 1 week they're doing HIIT classes, 1 week they're doing bodybuilding, the next week they sign up with a running coach, and they never actually put in the time to become quite good at that discipline. Now, I understand that a lot of people just want to be good at a few different things, and that's totally fine. But for me personally, and the clients that we work with, they like to kind of stick to what they're doing, whether that's strength training or running, and get very good at it. And I think I believe that the reason that a lot of people bounce between these disciplines is because they've never actually stuck to something for a period of time to see any progress. And if you don't see any progress, you don't have any proof of concept, which I'm going to talk about next. So you don't want to stick to it. Like, if I see my running times improving linearly every 2 weeks, every month, of course I'm going to want to stick to it. It's motivating to see that progress. And if I can see myself building strength in the gym every week, if I can see myself building muscle and my physique is improving, like, obviously I'm going to want to stick to it. So essentially, you're not going to see as great a performance improvement as you could without being consistent. As I mentioned before, a lack of consistency doesn't allow for much proof of concept. And what I mean by that is, if you are inconsistent, you'll never really see good progress. It's never going to be at the level it could be. It's incredibly motivating to see yourself progress, as I mentioned before, especially in terms of physique and performance. If you're following a diet, or you're training hard, and you're seeing yourself get leaner, you're seeing your arms get bigger, your legs get bigger, whatever it is, if that's your goal and that's important to you and you're passionate about improving the way you look, like, of course you're going to stick to it. You're going to stick to the program that you're on. I see this a lot of people as well. If we look at it from a kind of a coaching and client standpoint, if the client never sees results, they're obviously going to start to question what they're doing in the program they're following. Now, that could literally be because the program is shit or their coach is shit, or it could be because they're not putting in the work. And I've seen that before with our clients. They don't put in the work that is required to do what they need to do to get to where they said they want to be, and they drop off the program because they didn't put the work in, they didn't see the proof of concept, they didn't get the results. And And what I found with working, hundreds of people at this point, the clients that are inconsistent with their training and or nutrition, they're the ones that question the program and the coach. The clients that get the best results with us, they never question what they're doing because they're happy with the results and they know it's working. Like I've worked with multiple different coaches in the past, whether that's business, fitness, nutrition. And when I'm seeing the results, I never question the coach because what they've told me to do, it's clearly working and I'm happy with the results there. And that keeps me consistent. So it's all well and good to just say, be consistent, be consistent. How can we actually start being consistent? Now, it does take time, and I certainly wasn't as consistent as I am with things back in the day. I do believe that I have been fairly consistent with a lot of things, but I've certainly gotten better at it. And I've been good at telling myself that I need to remain consistent, even if something isn't going my way. But I think a good place to start is give yourself structure and routine. If we take it back to physique and performance and health and fitness, you're never going to get good results if you don't have a routine. Again, I've worked with a lot of people who they just have no semblance of routine. Maybe they're self-employed, they're traveling a lot. There's no strict structure and routine there, so they find it very hard to stick to a solid training program or a solid nutrition program. So design a realistic structure and routine in line with what you need to achieve. Stick to it, but make it easy at first. That could literally just be like, right, I'm going to go to the gym 3 times a week, or I'm going to follow my diet for 2 weeks. Just so you've got those kind of small milestones where you can see progress and you can tick off and say, I've done that. I think it was 2 videos ago, I actually made a video on how to kind of get started with your training and nutrition. I think it was the essentials to get in shape. So if you want more kind of like actual ideas about how to help with this, just go and watch that video. But yeah, you've got to have structure and routine. You're never going to be consistent without that. It's going to be much, much harder. But I would say make it easy in the first instance. Otherwise, like everyone's good at writing a list of fucking 78 things to do, but it's another thing doing them. So in terms of what I do with my own work, I try and prioritize 3 to 4 main tasks per day, which I can usually do. And that gives me proof of concept that I'm able to do what I said I was going to do. I can tick them all off and then I move on to the next day. If I had 10 things to do, it's going to be very overwhelming and I'm going to lead to being inconsistent. Again, something that I do, I'm big on numbers and tracking things. So I would recommend creating your own growth tracker with metrics that are important to you. If you remain consistent, you will see positive improvements with this over time. Now, this doesn't need to relate to numbers, revenue, whatever I'm mentioning here, but just something that's important to you. So it could just be like, how many workouts did I do this month? Or, if it's a business related task, what was the revenue this month? So I've created my own growth tracker. Like as I say, I work with coaches. We've got different things going on there and I'm tracking different things for different coaches. My nutrition coach, I'm tracking all my calories. For my strength training coach, I'm tracking all my lifts and things like that. Business coach, tracking the revenue. But I've made my own, which kind of compiles everything. And whenever I'm kind of having a little bit of a down day or a down week, I'll look at my growth track and I'll see myself moving forward and it kind of motivates me and provides me again with that proof of concept and makes me consistent again. So the things that I've got on mine, just to name a few, all my social media following, so they go up every single month, all of them bar none. Obviously I've got things in place to make sure that's happening. So, running adverts, things like that, having members of my team help grow them as well, email list, client numbers and monthly revenue. So if I can see those things going up every single month, every single week, even if I think I'm having a bad week, it motivates me and it shows me that being consistent and doing the things that I said I was going to do and I have done is going to drive me forward. So that's something I would really, really recommend. So a little bit of a different video here, not really related to health and fitness, but I honestly believe if you're not consistent and you don't have consistent routine in place, you're gonna struggle to progress with your health and fitness, whether that's physique or performance or both, or at least progress at the rate that you could be. And I think that you should be progressing as fast as you can within reason. So don't hold yourself back. So as I mentioned at the end of every video, we do offer coaching in terms of training, nutrition, physique performance improvements for professionals. So if you are interested, go and have a look at my Instagram, Joe's Fit, look at some of the client results. The link is in the bio and my YouTube to apply. We have spaces available for this month. Cheers.